Welcome, everybody, back to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. So we are going through another top 10 list today, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 right fielders in the MLB. Chase, you want to just go ahead and we'll just jump right into the list?
All right, so it's kind of like the first 4 or 5, they can kind of flip-flop. I think number 1 is kind of undisputed, though. Yeah, Ronaldo Cooney Jr. Yeah, he tore his ACL, but we all seen what that guy can do. He's a wonderful player. Like, any guy or any team in this league would want him on his team. He's probably the second most electric player to Tatis. Guy's an absolute freak. Then I put Juan Soto at number 2. The kid's plate discipline is outstanding. He walks a lot. He hits bombs. He hits for average. The only thing that's really is lacking is speed, and sometimes his defense kind of falls behind. But offensively, the kid is everything you ever want in a bat. Number 3, the MVP candidate, Bryce Harper. I don't think you have to explain that one. He's just a phenom in himself. Number 4, coming off a somewhat off year, Mookie Betts. He had an off year. We all know what his ceiling really is and the player that he is. I'll call it getting adjusted to LA, but I'm expecting him to be a monster like he is again next year. Number 5, Aaron Judge. He's not higher because 1, he gets hurt a lot. 2, sometimes there is some strikeout to his game more than these other 3 guys, but plays great right, has a cannon, still a great right fielder. And then at number 6, we have Teoscar Hernandez. Had a wonderful year for the Blue Jays. Nearly 300, hit a lot of bombs, got on base, and played some good defense. Number 7, Kyle Tucker from the Astros. Had a really good year himself. Really improved with the bat. 300, near 300 average, hit some bombs. And he's always been good with the glove. Number 8, Nick Castellanos, coming off his career year. There's been a lot of rumors to him to the Padres and him signing a major deal. He did just have his career year where he hit 30 bombs for the first time. I want to see him repeat that success before I move him up in the list. And plus, his defense really lacks because he lacks speed, and sometimes his arm just isn't the greatest. Number 9, Joey Gallo. It's hard to be okay putting him anywhere higher in the list because of how much he strikes out and of how little he can hit for average. The guy either walks or hits a home run. There's really not an in between for him. He walks, hits a home run, or strikes out. And majority of the time, it's going to be a strikeout or a walk. But he has an arm, and he's pretty quick and can play some gold glove defense. And number 10, Hunter Renfro, the former Padre himself. He had a really good year with the Red Sox. He's turned himself into a pretty good defender. Has a pretty good arm. He started to hit for a little more average. Hit over 30 bombs. I think had over 100 RBIs. Did his job greatly. And for my honorable mentions, if you guys follow the podcast, you know me. I'm going to put Will Myers there. He had an off year, but if he can repeat anything to what his 2020 numbers were, he could be easily a top 8 right fielder in baseball. I think he just had a down year. I expect him to bounce back next year.
Yeah, so the right field position to me is kind of, after the top 5, kind of lackluster, so I don't even have an honorable mention. But starting, off the bat, Ronaldo Cooney Jr. is my number 1 also. I think Chase brought it up in our top 10 shortstop video. After Tatis, I think Acuna is the most electrifying player in baseball. Just before he got hurt, I'm pretty sure he was either second or third in the MVP race. Probably third because I think DeGrom, before he got hurt, was number 1 or 2. Same with Tatis and then Acuna. But, with that being said, Ronald Acuna is the best right fielder in baseball. He's a 5-tool player, amazing in all aspects. So I don't really think you can argue that one. You can, just because the top 4 are really, you can put them in any order. But in my opinion, just from what I see, Acuna is number 1 for sure. Number 2, Mookie Betts. I think it was a year or 2 ago, I was saying Mookie Betts was the second best player in baseball after Mike Trout, and had a down year But if he's able to go back to what he used to do, I think, that'll still pretend he'll be a top 5 player in baseball again. He was battling some injuries this year, so he didn't get to show what, the Mookie Betts that we all know. He was electric on the Red Sox, has an MVP, has 1.5 World Series. You guys know why I say the half. But he's been fantastic ever since. Even with the Dodgers in 2020, he was great. Just a down year in 2021, but I fully expect him to bounce back to those Red Sox numbers. Number 3, Juan Soto, and I honestly hate that I have Juan Soto at number 3 because he's so damn good. Quite possibly the best hitter in baseball. If you look at it from a play discipline perspective, from a guy who consistently gets on base, like this guy is almost as good as Ted Williams. If you look at the numbers, like if you really take a deep dive at hitting, he's almost as good, and he's been fantastic ever since he came into the league. He already has a World Series, and he was one of the backbones of that team. So, he's been fantastic ever since coming into the league. He's going to be a perennial MVP candidate for years to come with the Tatises, Acuñas. If DeGrom's healthy, DeGrom. Number 4, this also seems a little low. And, for anyone that knew me in high school, Chase, my friends, but I wore a Bryce Harper shirt to school, and number 4 is Bryce Harper. I loved Bryce Harper. He was my favorite player for sure. He was, at the time, he was the phenom. When he came into the league, he was the phenom, and we talked about it just recently. Along with Ken Griffey Jr., we don't know a guy that has gotten as much hype coming to the league as Bryce Harper, who was a phenom, and he's lived up to it. I think he's definitely lived up to it. I know he gets a lot of slander because of his attitude and arguing with umpires and fighting with I think his name was like Hunter Strickland or something. I forgot, but he gets a lot of slander for that. But I'm not going to knock his talent because of that. He's won an MVP this year. Do I think that should have gone to Tatis? Yes, but at the same time, I wasn't going to be too mad that Harper won it. The only thing that got me mad was Crawford got more first place votes than Tatis. Other than that, Bryce Harper, he absolutely, he tore it up at the end of after the All-Star break. He was pretty much the sole reason that his team was in the playoff race, him and Zach Wheeler. So, a lot of props to Bryce Harper. He had a fantastic year. Wasn't an All-Star, though. Number 5, Aaron Judge. I think you kind of have to have Aaron Judge at 5, considering the 4 guys ahead of him. I don't think you can put him ahead of any of those 4 guys, considering, Bryce Harper won an MVP. Juan Soto was an MVP candidate and is going to be a perennial MVP candidate. Same with Mookie Betts, already has an MVP, World Series. Ronaldo Cooney also going to be a perennial MVP candidate. So I think Aaron Judge at 5 is perfect for him. Can hit for power. Helps a lot that you play at Yankee Stadium. But still an amazing ball player, plays great defense. He's built like a statue. So I think 5 is a good spot for him. Next up, and I hate to say this because he batted 199, and that's pretty damn bad. Joey Gallo. And I know this is the crowd that says, why do you still use batting average to judge a player? Well, when your batting average is 199, you could definitely judge a player for that. However, did hit 38 home runs, still got on base 35% of the time. So, and does play really solid defense. So, I guess 6 is a good spot for him. For you Yankee fans, you guys are probably pissed to see that he sucks for you guys, but he was solid for the Rangers. He was doing okay for the Rangers, and I know the Padres were in on some talks for him, and there were a lot of Padre fans that hoped we got him. But I think 6 is a good spot for him. I think, it's pretty debatable because Kyle Tucker's up next for me. I think he hit like 289 or 298. Almost, I think he hit like 30 home runs also. Really had a fantastic year this year. And, when you look at that Astros team, they lost a lot of their guys that went to that World Series that they cheated for, unfortunately. But I think, in terms of offensive production, he probably replaced George Springer in that aspect. He broke out for them in a way that I honestly didn't think Kyle Tucker had in him. Next up, Teoscar Hernandez. I didn't even know who he was until this year, but he hit 298. He hit, I think, how many home runs? Does anyone know? 28 or 32? Something crazy like that? I'm not entirely sure, but you can let me know. 32? Yeah, so he hit 32 home runs, had a breakout year, and when you look at that Blue Jays lineup, all of them hit nukes. In kind of a big, they didn't play in Toronto the whole year, but kind of a big ballpark over there. And he put himself on the map as a really solid right fielder, plays solid defense, and he's held his own at the plate. Next up, Nick Castellanos at number 9. I think a lot of people are going to think we have him kind of low because I know Chase, I think, had him at 8. I have him at 9. I don't know where Matt has him, but like, let's be real here, kind of sucks at defense. And this was his breakout year. It's not a breakout year, but this was his career year. This was his pinnacle. And I don't know if it's going to get much better than that, considering, I think he's 30 or he's going to be 31. I'm not entirely sure. But his defense is only going to get worse. But at the plate, he definitely held his own this year. He was an all-star, and he deserves to be in the top 10 for at least this year. I didn't even know who to put at number 10, so I just put Michael Conforto because I know a lot of people put Michael Conforto up there. I don't really know why, but I mean, I guess I have him at 10 just because I didn't know who else to put. So that's my reasoning for Conforto being at 10.
All right. Yeah, I like it. I have a few guys in the same spot as both of you. To start off, though, Acuna number 1. If you watched our most recent video, it was on the shortstops. We talked about Fernando of like, hey, maybe these guys didn't have the massive sample size that some of these other great players have. But if you watch a lot of Ronaldo Acuna, you recognize this guy is a five-tool player that is a superstar, Hall of Fame talent. He is that kind of player. So I have him at 1. If you don't have him at 1, it's not like you're going to be like, oh, this guy's so bad ahead of him, because like we talked about, the first 5 guys on here are superstars. There's 5 superstar right fielders, and then there's a significant drop off. But after Acuna, I got Bryce Harper at 2. I think it's a little bit higher than both of you. Bryce Harper, to me, is one of the most fascinating players in, I think, sports in general across the board. In my lifetime, Bryce Harper is one of the most hyped up players ever. When we were a lot younger, you heard about him when he was like 16 years old, hitting 500-foot bombs. Bryce Harper has completely lived up to expectations. I remember we were talking about this when we were going through our list, but it's almost like he had the Peyton Manning level hype, and then he lived up to expectations, but then people still are like, oh yeah, Bryce isn't that great. If you look at Bryce Harper career numbers, he has over a 900 OPS. He has a 916 OPS. He has, where is it? 267 home runs, 752 RBIs, 2 MVPs. Bryce Harper is a Hall of Fame lock. He is a Hall of Fame lock right now, and I don't think he gets enough respect. He is one of the better players in the league. Maybe not the best defensive right fielder. He has a pretty much like a negative grade almost all of his years in his career, but it's not like anything atrocious. I put him at 2. I think he's one of the best players. Can you put someone else ahead of him? Sure, that's fine. The other guys, it's not like they're bad players. I got Mookie at 3, and then I got Juan Sutto at 4. I feel bad about putting Mookie at 3 and Juan Sutto at 4. I think they're amazing players. I think all those top 4 guys, they're all-star caliber players every single year. Like, that's the type of seasons they put up. So it's a little bit tough to be like, oh, Juan Sutto at 4 when you look at his numbers. And, he has Ted Williams-like numbers to start his career. He walks so much. He's walking at rates that, like, it feels like guys like, I don't know if this is 100% right, but it feels like people since like Barry Bonds haven't like walked at the amount of times that he walks. It's crazy. So he's an amazing player. I have him at 4. It's not to knock him. It's not like a Juan Soto's. No, he's amazing. Also have Aaron Judge at 5. Another guy, I think Aaron Judge is a star player in the league. However, I don't think he's quite on the level of those top 4 guys. So like when I did my list, I put a gap after 4, and then I put a gap after 5, because like after Aaron Judge, it's like a big drop off like we've talked about. But that's my top 5. Then moving on, 6, I got Kyle Tucker, probably the best of like the rest here. Then then Joey Gallo after that. I have Gallo kind of high. And it's just because, like, I don't know. It's tough because you don't love everything about Joey Gallo. That is 100% true. However, he is a pretty dang good right fielder, and I think that moves him ahead of a couple of these other guys. After Joey Gallo, I got Nick Castellanos. So I think some people might really not like that I have Castellanos after Joey Gallo. But if you look at their numbers, Castellanos, let's see, last year he had a 4.2 WAR, right? As the best year of his career. But you go before that, he never had cracked 3 WAR before. Gallo's had multiple seasons over 3. He's had only 2, I guess, but he's had a couple other years. He hasn't played quite as long. So you can flip-flop them, but I think it's a lot closer. Moving forward, if Castellanos can improve defensively, it would be huge, because then you would definitely take him. 2021, you're definitely taking Castellanos. but that's the big question. Can he keep up, one, a career year at the plate, but two, is there going to be any improvement as a right fielder? I would probably lean no, and I would probably lean that either this year or next year, we won't talk about him in the right fielder list because he's going to be a DH. That's what I personally think. But maybe not yet. Maybe not yet, but down the road, he is a future DH. He's a prime candidate to do that. So have him at 8. He could definitely climb if he continues to have the season that he had last year in future seasons. After him, Teoscar Hernandez. Also, guy I didn't really know a ton about, put up great numbers. If he can continue to do that, he'll climb as well. And then Michael Conforto had a couple down years, but he's had some great seasons in the past. He's an interesting guy, like part of this free agent class where almost like a buy low kind of guy. You go, you get him. He could have a resurgence. So I put him at 10, but there's a couple other guys you can mention too. I put Hunter Renfro in my honorable mentions, and another guy I wanted to just bring up because he's not on this list. He's put up back-to-back pretty bad years. But Charlie Blackman was a guy that was in this list for years and years and years, and he was an amazing player. And it seems that injuries have kind of derailed his career, so definitely leaving him off this list. But got to give him a shout out because how many years was he on this list? Like 10 years? Like he's just one of those guys that was consistently an all-star caliber right fielder. So always got to bring up Charlie Blackman. And yes, he did play in Colorado, so you give him a little bit of a boost there, but still amazing career. It's kind of sad that it's looking like he's deep into that back 9 now. But anything else you guys want to add on your list? All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. I will post in the comments, we'll have all 3 of our lists there. If you guys don't agree, let us know what you don't agree with. Let us know what you change. And also leave your top 10 list as well. Love to see what you guys think. If there's anyone that you think that, we're way too high on or we're way too low on, let us know too. Like we'd love to hear what you guys think as well. But that is going to do it for today's episode. We will talk to you all very, very soon.